All right, let's see what it is. Let's see what it is. Last section of the thing, right? I feel like we're about to summarize the Prince system, right? The system that got him to be the oh so dangerous man that he is, right? How Jay Prince and his family extorted millions out of rappers, right? Being rap's deadliest family type. Oh, right, that's how we back it up. Pause. But yeah. Carrying on.
Exactly how Jay Prince's alleged system of control works, because it's actually quite sophisticated when you look at it from a business perspective. First, you establish dominance in your territory. Jay Prince did this by being one of the first successful hip-hop entrepreneurs in Houston. He put the city on the map musically, which gave him cultural capital. He also allegedly used street tactics to eliminate competition and make it clear that he was the one in charge. The DEA investigation, the multiple arrests, the rumors of violence, all of that contributed to building a reputation as someone you don't mess with. Next, you create a system that funnels money and influence to you. In Jay Prince's case, that system is checking in. By establishing the expectation that artists need to check in when they come to Houston, Jay Prince created a situation where he has access to every major artist who performs in the city. That access can be monetized in multiple ways, requiring artists to use security services connected to the Prince family, requiring artists to perform at venues connected to the Prince family, requiring artists to make appearances or give shout-outs that promote the Mob Ties brand, creating opportunities for business deals that benefit the Prince family. None of this is explicitly stated as extortion. It's all framed as building relationships and showing respect, but the underlying threat is always there. If you don't play ball, something bad might happen. The system only works if people believe there will be consequences for not following the rules. That's where the reputation for violence comes in. Whether Jay Prince and his sons are directly responsible for violence or not, the perception is that they are. And that perception is reinforced every time someone ends up dead or robbed after not checking in properly. Duke the Jeweler didn't have problems until after he was seen with Jay Prince Jr. Takeoff died while under the Prince family's protection. NBA Youngboy's house got broken into, and then Jay Prince returned his items. Each of these incidents reinforces the narrative. You need the Prince family's protection, and if you don't have it, bad things can happen. This is the genius part of the system. Jay Prince never explicitly says, "Pay me or I'll hurt you." He never directly threatens violence in a way that could be prosecuted. Instead, he speaks in generalities. He talks about defending himself, or about how bad news would beat you home. He frames everything as reactive rather than proactive. When something bad happens, he can always say it wasn't him, it was someone else. He was trying to help, he was trying to prevent it. There's always
he probably got that gift of gab, you know what I'm saying? He got that, like, you know, he can direct the narrative to just like be able, you know, to a point where it frames other people and leaves him like clean of the deed or whatever it is. You know what I'm saying? Like he got that, I don't even know how to put it like in straight layman terms, but like, oh shit, he can flying monkey some shit. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you know the concept of flying monkey. Search up flying monkey and narcissism, right? Framing others, you know what I'm saying? So that he's not to be looked at as the bad guy, right?
Plausible deniability. And because he's built up so much goodwill in the community through charity work, through supporting local artists, through being a successful black businessman, people are willing to give him
and it does get to that, right? Because it's like, it's the, I don't know whether to put it as maybe the survivor's guilt or whatever. I don't even know how to put it, right? But it's that method where somebody who knows they're on some dark shit, right? Some degenerate stuff, maybe you know, in the dark market, you know, involved with like maybe drug trafficking, you know, degenerate shit like that. You know what I'm saying? Maybe you know, in the murder game, you know what I'm saying? And maybe as they make money off of that, they're gonna want to clean themselves up by, you know, getting involved in some philanthropy, some charity work, things like that, right? Where they help out the community on some level, to make themselves seem like, you know, good people and clean people. people to trust when they're not.
Benefit of the doubt. Once the system is established in one area, you expand it. Jay Prince has done this by having his sons take over day-to-day operations, which extends the family's reach, branching into other industries like boxing, where the same intimidation tactics can be used, building relationships with artists from other.
And you know, in boxing, you're justified because the whole thing is about like just aggression and physicality, bruh. You know what I'm saying? We're literally physically fighting, and he's about that, right? Except he be using like baseball bats and guns and shit like that.
Cities like Drake, which gives him influence beyond Houston, creating the Mob Ties brand, which allows him to franchise his reputation. It's a brilliant business model if you ignore the fact that it's allegedly built on extortion and intimidation. Now let's talk about who really pays the price for Jay Prince's alleged system of control. Because it's not just the artists who check in or the people who end up dead. The impact is much wider than that. Young artists coming up in Houston face an impossible choice. If they want to make it in the music industry, they need to build a buzz in their hometown first. But building a buzz in Houston means potentially coming into contact with the Prince family. Do they check in and risk getting caught up in the system? Do they refuse to check in and risk being shut out of opportunities, or worse? It's a lose-lose situation for artists who just want to make music. And if they do check in, they're essentially giving up a piece of their independence and their earnings before they've even made it. That's money that could go toward better production, better marketing, better opportunities.
Seriously?
Instead, it's going to pay tribute to someone who didn't help them create their art. When artists from other cities come to Houston to perform, they're
well, it is extortion, bruh. The long of it is extortion, bruh. When he's such an opportunist that every opportunity that he looks for, right? He tries to milk that opportunity for just some capital, bro, no matter what it is. So he's just like a money monster, right? That's it.
often told they need to check in for their own safety. But as we've seen with Takeoff, checking in doesn't guarantee safety. It just guarantees that the Prince family gets their cut. Artists end up paying for security they don't need, making appearances they don't want to make, and giving respect to people who haven't earned it, all because they're afraid of what might happen if they don't. That's not how the music industry should work, gang. Artists should be able to perform anywhere without having to pay tribute to local power brokers.
That's fair.
Takeoff's family lost a son, a brother, a cousin. Duke the Jeweler's family lost a father, a husband, a provider. Earl Perry's family lost a loved one. And Lamar Burks has been in prison for over 20 years for
Damn, so it's not just artists that like lose whatever it is that they lose or take the L's that they take. But it's the people around him, bro, that ends up losing. Goddamn family members, gang. That's so crazy. If this is not the definition of like the devil himself, bro, I don't know what could be, bro. Understand me?
a murder he may not have committed. These families are the real victims. They've lost people they love, and in
these families are the real victims. That's what I'm saying.
many cases, they haven't gotten justice. The circumstances surrounding these deaths are murky, the investigations are questionable, and the people who might have answers aren't talking. Takeoff's mother has to live with the fact that her son died while supposedly under protection.
Dang.
She has to see Jay Prince and his sons on podcasts defending themselves, making threats toward her nephew Offset, and acting like they're the victims in all of this. That's not right, fam. That's not justice. Hip-hop culture as a whole suffers when this kind of behavior is allowed to continue. The checking-in system has spread beyond Houston. Now you hear about it in LA, in Atlanta, in Chicago, in every major city. Young artists think this is normal. They think it's just part of the game. They think you have to pay tribute to local OGs or risk getting hurt. But that's not what hip-hop was built on. Hip-hop was built on creativity, on competition, on taking the mic and proving you're the best. It wasn't built on extortion and intimidation. When we allow people like Jay Prince to operate unchecked, we're saying that power and fear are more important than talent and art. We're saying that it's okay to profit off of other people's creativity as long as you're scary enough. That's not the culture I want to be part of, and I don't think it's the culture most hip-hop fans want either. This is the question everyone asks. If Jay Prince has been doing all of this for 40 years, why hasn't he been charged with—
Bro, 4 decades, gang. 4 decades of being the devil himself, bro. I think people, you know what I'm saying? There's some substantial thing that you can take out of like what it takes to be like hip-hop's mogul, goddammit. What? And that's being the devil himself. Facts.
with anything. The answer is complicated, but it comes down to a few key factors. And the biggest reason is that victims and witnesses don't cooperate with law enforcement. When you're dealing with someone who has J. Prince's reputation, people are afraid to come forward. And even when something happens, even when there's a crime, people don't want to testify. They don't want to give statements. They don't want to be seen as snitches or cooperators. And without witnesses, without testimony, it's almost impossible to build a case. As I mentioned earlier, J. Prince is very careful about how he operates. He doesn't make explicit threats that can be recorded and used against him in court. He speaks in generalities and implications. When he says something like, "Don't put me in a position where I have to defend myself," that's not technically a threat. It's a warning. And warnings aren't illegal. When bad things happen, there's always distance between J. Prince and the actual act. He wasn't the one who broke into NBA Youngboy's house. He wasn't the one who shot Takeoff. He wasn't the one who robbed Duke the Jeweler. So even if prosecutors wanted to charge him, they'd have to prove that he ordered these things or that he was part of a conspiracy. And that's incredibly difficult to do without cooperating witnesses. The DEA investigation into J. Prince revealed that the agents leading the case, Chad Scott and Jack Schumacher, were corrupt. They falsified records, coerced witnesses, and ran their own extortion schemes. If the people investigating J. Prince were dirty, how can we trust any of the evidence they gathered? How can we trust any of the cases they built? This corruption has tainted everything related to J. Prince's legal troubles. It's given him a legitimate defense. He was being targeted by corrupt cops who were trying to frame him. And honestly, based on what we know about Scott and Schumacher, that defense might be true. J. Prince might have been unfairly targeted, at least in some cases. But that doesn't mean he's innocent of everything.
That's what
it
I'm
just
saying.
means the evidence is compromised. J. Prince has allegedly...
Evidence is freaking compromised, bruh. How you leave people in an interesting predicament. Man, who's lying to who, man? Who's fooling who? Are you fooling me? Am I fooling your dumb ass?
built relationships with powerful people over the years. The rumor about the $200,000 donation to Al Gore's campaign, the letter from Congresswoman Maxine Waters, the fact that the Attorney General personally shut down the DEA investigation. These connections provide protection. When you have friends in high places, it's much harder for local or even federal law enforcement to come after you. And J. Prince has been smart about building these connections. He does charity work in Houston. He supports local causes. He's seen as a successful black businessman who's giving back to his community. That public image makes it politically difficult to go after him because it can be framed as targeting a pillar of the community. If prosecutors really wanted to take down J. Prince, they'd probably need to use RICO laws, which are designed to prosecute organized crime. But RICO cases are incredibly complex and expensive. You need to prove a pattern of criminal activity. You need multiple witnesses. You need extensive documentation. And as we've seen with recent RICO cases in hip-hop, like the Young Thug case and the case against Big U that you mentioned in your question, these cases can take years to build and years to prosecute. Law enforcement in Houston may not have the resources or the political will to pursue a RICO case against J. Prince, especially given his connections and his public image. You mentioned Big U in your question, and I think it's worth comparing the two because there are a lot of similarities. Big U, whose real name is Eugene Henley Jr., was recently hit with a RICO case for allegedly running an extortion scheme in Los Angeles. The feds say he used his position as an OG and his connections in the entertainment industry to extort artists and businesses. Sound familiar? The checking-in system in LA operates very similarly to the one in Houston. Artists are expected to connect with certain people when they come to the city.
I'm not gonna lie, man. This RICO Act, man. I'm telling you, bro. Like, this RICO Act, ever since the birth of the RICO Act, bro, I feel like, you know, law officials have gotten certain culprits, bro, where they actually been wanting them for a long time. You know what I'm saying? You're talking about things being tied up in organizational schemes, and you know what I'm saying, can't get through to him because he got his identity all tied up in these organizations that he's running and this and that and the third, and you know what I'm saying? But then the birth of this RICO, bro, it was able to just like reach deep into just, you know what I mean, complex systems of crime and criminality, bro, just to get, you know, get to where we need to, bro. You know what I'm saying? People that have been working within the shadows behind a whole bunch of facades. Feel me? This RICO Act, you know what I mean? It gets investigators where they need to be fixed. And it's a whole bunch of people that still, you know, gonna be served their Rico pie, man.
If they don't, there can be consequences. Big U was allegedly involved in the events leading up to Nipsey Hussle's death, though he hasn't been charged in connection with the murder itself. But the feds are looking at his overall pattern of behavior, his use of intimidation, and his alleged extortion of artists. Now, some people have speculated that J. Prince was actually Big U's mentor, that Big U learned the checking-in system from J. Prince and implemented it in LA. If that's true, and if Big U is now facing RICO charges for doing exactly what J. Prince has been doing for 40 years, then the question becomes, is J. Prince next? The feds have shown they're willing to go after hip-hop figures using RICO laws. Young Thug, Gunna, Big U, and others have all been hit with these charges in recent years.
That's what I'm saying.
J. Prince has to be looking at these cases and wondering if he's next on the list. And maybe that's why he's been more vocal lately, why he's been doing interviews and trying to control the narrative. Because if the feds do come for him, he wants public opinion on his side. He wants to be seen as a legitimate businessman who's being unfairly targeted.
You gotta get that public, court of public opinion on his side, right? Right?
Not as a criminal who's been running an extortion racket for decades. To be fair, let's look at this from J. Prince's perspective and consider what his defense would be. J. Prince would argue that he's built multiple legitimate businesses over the years. Rap-A-Lot Records, The Ranch, boxing management, real estate. He'd point to his tax returns, his business licenses, his contracts. He'd say that he's been successful because he's smart, because he works hard, and because he saw opportunities that others didn't. J. Prince would point to the DEA investigation and the fact that the agents who investigated him were later convicted of corruption. He'd argue that he was unfairly targeted because he was a successful black man in a white-dominated industry. And honestly, there's probably some truth to that. The DEA investigation does seem to have been compromised by the corruption of Scott and Schumacher. J. Prince would argue that the checking-in system is just about building relationships and showing respect. He'd say that when artists come to Houston and connect with him, it's because they want to, not because they have to. He'd point to his relationships with Drake, with Quavo, with other major artists, and say that these are genuine friendships, not business arrangements based on fear. When it comes to the deaths and the violence, J. Prince would argue that he can't control what other people do. He'd say that he's not responsible for every person who claims to be affiliated with mob ties or Rap-A-Lot. He'd point out that he's never been convicted of a violent crime, that there's no evidence directly linking him to any of these incidents. J. Prince would point to his charity work, his support of local artists, his contributions to Houston's culture. He'd say that he's given back more than he's taken and that he's helped more people than he's hurt. And again, there's probably some truth to that. J. Prince has done positive things for Houston, he has helped artists, he has given back to the community, but the question is, does the good outweigh the bad? And can you really call it charity when it's funded by allegedly illegal activity? So where do we go from here? What happens to J. Prince and his empire? The most likely scenario, unfortunately, is that nothing changes. J. Prince continues to operate the way he has for 40 years. Artists continue to check in. The system continues to function. Without cooperation
this day, fam,
from victims, without a major investigation, without political will to prosecute, J. Prince remains untouchable. He'll continue to do interviews, continue to build his brand, continue to make money, and the cycle will continue. If the feds decide to pursue a RICO case against J. Prince, similar to what they did with Big U, then everything could change very quickly. A RICO case would allow prosecutors to look at J. Prince's entire operation, to connect dots that local law enforcement couldn't connect, to compel testing to come forward. But building a RICO case takes years. It requires extensive...
So they probably might just be building that shit up right now, right? Oh, man.
Resources. And it requires political will at the highest levels of the Justice Department. Given J. Prince's connections and his public image, it's not clear if the feds would be willing to take that risk. Maybe the most hopeful scenario is that the culture shifts, that artists start refusing to check in, that the industry starts pushing back against these systems of control. We're already seeing some of that with the backlash against J. Prince after Takeoff's death. People are asking questions, people are speaking out. If enough artists stand together and say, we're not doing this anymore, then the system loses its power. But that requires courage, it requires solidarity, and it requires artists to be willing to risk their safety and their careers to
but now you get a, you know, a person who's like J. Prince who can, or who has literally, you know, tried to gain the favor of the general public, right? gain the favor of the court of public opinion. You know what I'm saying? By doing a whole lot of legitimate things, volunteering for like community things. You know what I'm saying? Like having, you know, being in the right, the being in people's right books, good books. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like it gets tough there because that's how somebody, a manipulator like Jay Prince, divides and conquers. You know what I'm saying? You have a whole bunch of people that are like, yo, nah, only if we could maybe, you know, stand up against this guy, man. He's only one dude, bro. We see the kind of activities that he's on. Shiesty, it's terrible. We don't like it for our people. We don't like it for our favorite artists. But it keeps happening, bruh. You understand what I'm saying? But then at the same time, there are a bunch of people who are in favor of him, who maybe benefit from his deeds, bruh. You understand what I'm saying? So once you get to divide and conquer, you know, public perception like that. Well, I'm only coining it divide and conquer. I'm calling it that loosely. I'm using that term loosely. You know what I'm saying? Because that just like what it is, because he wins at the end of the day. So like it's not gonna be enough people who's gonna stand in solidarity to just like, you know what I'm saying, make sure that he loses this like toxic ass power that he got going on.
Stand up for what's right.
Yeah.
Jay Prince is getting older. He's been in the game for 40 years.
Right.
At some point, he's going to step back and let his son
4 decades game. Five.
take over completely. But will Jay Prince Jr., Jazz Prince, and the others be able to maintain the same level of control? Will they have the same reputation, the same fear factor? Or will the transition of power create an opportunity for the system to be dismantled? Only time will tell. At the end of the day, this story isn't really about Jay Prince. It's about what we're willing to accept in hip-hop culture. Are we okay with artists being extorted? Are we okay with people dying because they didn't check in with the right people? Are we okay with fear being more powerful than talent? Because that's what's at stake here, gang.
Yeah.
Every time we stay silent about this stuff, every time we give Jay Prince a pass because that's just how the game works, we're saying that this is
It's just how the game go, buddy. Yo, you know what I'm saying? It's just how it is, my boys.
acceptable. But it's not acceptable. It's not okay that Takeoff is dead. It's not okay that Duke the Jeweler is dead. It's not okay that young artists in Houston have to choose between their independence and their safety. Jay Prince has built an empire, there's no denying that. He's been successful in multiple industries. He's put Houston on the map. He's helped launch the careers of legendary artists, but at what cost? How many people have been hurt? How many people have been extorted? How many families have lost loved ones? And how much longer are we going to let this continue? The truth is, Jay Prince's power only exists because we give it to him, because we're afraid to speak out, because we're willing to look the other way. But knowledge is power, fam, and now you know the truth, you know the pattern, you know the system. The question is, what are you going to do with that knowledge? Are you going to keep supporting artists and businesses that enable this behavior? Are you going to keep staying silent when you see injustice? Or are you going to speak up? Are you going to demand better? Are you going to say that hip-hop culture deserves more than this? The choice is yours. And look, I know this was a heavy video, gang. We covered a lot of dark stuff. Extortion, intimidation, death, corruption. It's not easy to talk about, but these conversations need to happen. We can't keep sweeping this stuff under the rug and pretending everything is okay.
Yeah, no, that's facts, y'all. That's facts, y'all. Y'all tap in, man. It's hip-hop history. How Jay Prince and his family extorted millions out of rappers. Yeah, it was a bit of a heavy one, man. But yeah, I'll see you on the flip side of this, though.
Ain't no man, heard me pack on you boys, I ain't telling no.